evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the world of V-Gaming Junkie News. The Dross was censored and demonetized for being too obscene, so there's nothing but pure gaming-related meatiness. It is all about the electronic good stuff as we dive deep in all that's new in the various interactive virtual worlds. It's amazing how much Sony seems to love being the center of a lot of bad press, video game-wise. These first few news stories are all about them, starting with Earthbound. It seems Sony actually owns the Earthbound soundtrack and they're enforcing it with people's Let's Play videos. Guess that's one game I won't be able to do personally, or at least not without altering the music in some way. It's kinda funny that for a while Nintendo was copyright flagging their content, and now Sony is flagging Nintendo's content for them in a sense. That's actually not the only thing that Nintendo used to do that Sony is now doing, but we'll get to that. This other bit of Sony news actually has Sony on the other side of the law, as they seem to be finding themselves under the threat of a class action lawsuit. Sony allegedly charges up to 175% more for its digital PlayStation games, creating effectively a monopoly since things like Amazon and GameStop were barred from offering download codes. Obviously, this is all allegations, but it claims that unlike physical releases, there's virtually no competition for digital PlayStation games and that it's a violation of antitrust. I look forward to see how this all plays out. So stop me if you've heard this one before. Sony forced a censorship of an anime-styled game on their platforms. I know what many of you are probably thinking, you perverts, but this example actually isn't about that. This pertains to Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, a game that doesn't really have any visibly sexualizing things in it. Rather, a violent, bloody scene that happens near the end of the game has been censored. Those of you who know about the game will know what I'm talking about. Stab, stab, stab. Dan Salvato doesn't want people to make a big deal out of it, but apologies to him, I just have to bring it up. I give Dan respect for trying to be stylistic about it, but the fact is, Sony's meddling caused the blood to become black. Even if the context is shocking, censoring red blood isn't something we've seen since the Super Nintendo days. At least not system-wide like this. Given the abundance of violent video games on the PS4 and PS5, this is just absurd and really shows the double standard they take with anime-styled games. Now just violence is going too far. If you ask me, Sony seems to be doing this out of a seeming resentment for Japanese-styled games. I can't prove that, but that's just my take. The next story is a little sillier, so don't worry. It seems during an ad of the PS5, the console is depicted upside down. Yeah, I know, I was beating up on Sony, arguably deservedly, so I figured I'd soften the blow just a bit by transitioning out with a silly one. Sony's removed the commercial, but you gotta love quality control, am I right? Or lack thereof, of course. Okay, no more Sony news for now, I promise. Moving on. So it's being rumored that Konami is teaming up with the Layers of Fear developer to make a new Silent Hill-related project. While it could have some potential, and I really love what little Layers of Fear I tried, and they seem to be good with psychological horror, it's a real shame. After Hideo Kojima was forced out, the planned Silent Hill was not only cancelled, but PT was actually pulled off of digital stores. Maybe something good will come out of it, but given Konami's well-deserved reputation, I won't be holding my breath anytime soon. So Dan Houser is creating a new company called Absurd Ventures and Games. If you don't recognize the name, he was the co-founder of Rockstar and the boss of GTA. It seems he was on extended break in 2019 and officially left Rockstar in 2020. It should be interesting to see what kind of games he and whatever team he can assemble plan to make, although he actually said Grand Theft Auto 6 would be difficult to make in today's climate. Honestly, I can see that, because you can bet people will just be offended no matter what. And so an untitled id Software game has been rated in Australia, leading to a lot of speculation on what it could be. It's called Project 2021B, it's rated M for violence and online interactivity. Given this is id we're talking about, the violence part isn't exactly narrowing it down. The online interactivity might be, but then that doesn't really mean it'll be multiplayer only or multiplayer focused like Quake 3 or Champions. So basically it doesn't say a whole lot, but Project 2021A apparently ended up being Doom 3 VR. Doom 3 VR actually got a higher rating, being 18+ and high-impact violence, so the jury's still out there on what it actually is. All we've got is that it's probably less violent than Doom 3 VR, and it won't be single-player only, but it should be quite interesting to find out. And so a formerly impossible chest in Zelda Breath of the Wild has finally been opened! Apparently it's found at Eris Beach, 80 meters below the ground, and is gone in 7 seconds after it's loaded in due to falling in the abyss. My guess is it was probably intended to be deleted, but Nintendo never got around to it, but glitching the game has revealed that it merely contains a piece of amber. It's pretty interesting that someone managed to open it though, even if Nintendo obviously left it in accidentally, or at least made it near impossible to obtain accidentally. As always, the community manages to always find a way. Finally, it seems some early Half-Life prototype footage was revealed on TikTok. A dev showed this off, and one image straight up looks like brutal doom with blood splattered all over the place. They ended up pulling the violence back a lot, obviously. Apparently it was to start a conversation on just how violent they really wanted the game to be. There's actually some video footage that shows presumably Gordon going down an opening pipe into some water and then down some very Quake-like areas, perhaps further showcasing that the game was largely built around Quake. There are other presumably early shots of the game, but they seem to be from when the game was in a more completed state. Either way, I always find it so fascinating to see the development process of a game and try to get a grasp on how they came to the decisions they did. And as always, from the page of Games Radar, it's time for the latest batch of release dates fresh out of the oven. On the 13th, we've got Curved Space for Switch, Outsider Afterlife on PC, and Where the Heart Leads for PlayStation. The 14th sees Skydome as well as Space Punks for PC. The 15th has Labyrinth City, Pierre the Maze Detective for Switch, and Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game for PC and X1. On the 16th, F1 2021 for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, Zelda Skyward Sword ported to the Switch, and Within the Blade for PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. The 20th sees Cotton Reboot for PS4 and Switch, as well as Chris Tales for Everything You Care About and also Stadia. Finally, the 23rd has Akiba's Trip, Hellbound and Debris for PS4 and Switch, Observer System Redux for PS4 and X1, and Orcs Must Die 3 for PC, PS4, and X1. This week's epic freebie until next Thursday is Bridge Constructor: The Walking Dead, combining all the excitement of a bridge constructor with The Walking Dead. It really is all there on the tin, isn't it? The second one is Ironcast, what looks like steampunk bejeweled with a twist. From the 15th to the 22nd is Abduction, an exploratory game for the makers of Myst. The second one for that week is Off-World Trading Company, an RTS that seemingly looks like it's inspired by the likes of SimCity. And as always, that rounds out this news week. I hope you enjoyed it and were well enough informed. As always, I Let's Play every single day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m, live stream Mondays and Fridays unless otherwise specified at 4:30 p.m, and I swap between game reviews and game news videos Sundays at 6 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, and you can always subscribe and God hand that bell icon if you don't want to worry about keeping track of time zones. A like is always appreciated for the algorithms and whatnot, but I just hope you genuinely liked it, and that is it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Spread this video around like black blood, and I'll see you next time. Capitalize on life, peace out, have a good one, and I'll see you next week.